Welcome back to the Restoration Group podcast, where we're sometimes silly, but we are always serious about investing in Oklahoma City leaders who desire to integrate their work into their Christian faith. I'm your host, Clay Steves, and today I am joined by guests, which I have not been able to say before, but by my dear friends and our guests, Nate and Sarah Carr. Nate and Sarah have been married for over 20 years, and together they have co-founded Commonplace Books in Midtown, OKC. With hospitality, humility, and heart at their core, their team brings diverse knowledge and life experience to the shop, helping their patrons as trusted advisors and friends. It brings them immense joy to share quality recommendations that will enrich lives, encourage imagination, and guide intellectual growth. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Thanks for having us.
How are we today?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good day.
It is a good day. It is a good day. Okay, so Sarah, all questions being directed to you.
Okay.
That's how we're at. Take me back and share the genesis story of Commonplace Books.
See, and then I just have to kick it right to Nathan.
Okay, well,
so
I'll give you the freedom to do that when you
Okay.
want, though. That's how we'll control the dynamic.
So let's
That's
start
good. That's
just
good.
by
Yeah. Okay.
saying that Nathan is the visionary and risk taker in this relationship. I don't like risk. I don't even like to order something different at a restaurant. Like, if it isn't broke, don't fix it type of mentality.
Yes.
Here. So actually, Commonplace was his dream, and now I get to be, feet on the ground in the store. But he should start with the genesis of it for sure.
Well said. Yeah, I have no risk aversion. It's true. Perhaps we should just talk about
Maybe we
that.
should talk about the balancing act of this.
Yeah.
This could be the next subject.
Our lifelong, we have viewed bookstores as a haunt. We're going in. No matter where we travel, it's going to be on the list. Stateside or otherwise, and so I don't know, my life is books, so that side of me. And so I thought, what if there was a bookstore? So a handful of us got together, and I don't know, the dream was born. 2016, by the way, is the year.
Okay.
So 2016, urban bookstore, Midtown, Oklahoma City had listed missing elements in a survey. I think Midtown Ren did a survey of Midtown residents, and they needed a drugstore, and they needed a grocery store, and they needed a whatever. And when I read bookstore on that list, I thought, that's it. And anyway, so that's kind of the origin story. So there's more to that, but it's that list.
And then did it open in 2016? Or is that just where the vision was captured?
Yeah. Open 2016 as a pop-up where, what's the restaurant now there? Plant.
Okay.
Plant was the original Commonplace Books.
Huh.
And then while our renovations were, undertaken at 13th and Walker, where we now are. But
Yeah. Okay, so then now share your genesis story. Obviously you were there then, but to the role that you now play at Commonplace Midtown.
Yeah. Well, I was still very much a full-time stay-at-home mom then, but then all of our kiddos got old enough for school, which was a great moment.
So that happens?
Say, okay, okay, everybody's in school. I could maybe do something outside of our house. And so I started working at Commonplace just a couple days a week, I think it was like a 4-hour shift or something. And that really was the first time that I was, running the register and touching the books and all of that. And so as exciting as it was for our family to go to story time and things like that all those years, we were not hands-on, as far as the day-to-day running of it.
Yeah.
And so loved that. And then it's just kind of evolved. And Nathan's youngest brother did a really, really great job of getting us to this great place as far as curation and diversity of books and, all the things that made our business really healthy. And then he said, I've got to finish my PhD. And so I just stepped into the role of manager, and it's been really fun.
And when was that? When did you step into the role of manager?
Probably Christmassy, January.
Very
maybe.
22.
Yeah.
So like 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's sort of ASM to
Yeah.
SM.
I started working, planning events
Yep.
and doing events
Yep.
and in charge of the pop-ups and, things like that. But then, yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to decide which way I want to go right here. I don't want to do the Amazon question yet, so we'll wait on that one. I won't
It's
lob
coming.
that. I won't lob the grenade in the middle yet. We'll wait on that one. Nate, you referenced, I'm not supposed to do that. Sarah, Nate referenced, how about that? That was better. Referenced like an understood that I had that you guys love books or why you love books, kind of the background that's native, inherent to you and in your DNA. Maybe tell where your love of reading or your passion for books really even comes from for you. Like even get the why of that piece in you. Irrelevant of a bookstore, where does that love come from?
I actually think that my personal love of books comes from being a mom and sharing that time of reading aloud and reading picture books to my kids. I mean, we started reading chapter books like before they could crawl. Absolutely, they were not understanding what we were saying. And it was a little bit of a way to pass the time,
Amen.
I mean, what are you going to do? Well, they're just playing with their toys and you've got to watch them all the time. But, and then it's such an incredible thing to get to share just a great story or to have, a kiddo climb up in bed on Saturday morning with his stack of books in hand, And so I think that's where my love has definitely come from. I mean, because we have a sophomore in college, then all the way to second grade. So I've been doing this a long time. And when we can read, we have a couple of adopted kiddos, and, when we're in the middle of a chapter book that I know nothing about, I just know that it's gotten good reviews, and we're reading, The Wild Robot, and here in the middle of it, this robot is telling this bird, I am not your birth mom, but I will always love you and take care of you as if I was your birth mom. And my adopted boys are listening, and I'm just like, but this is so much more beautiful than I could ever even, and they're getting, like, I can say it, but then they think I'm just saying it because I'm the mom,
Because we have to.
Because we have to, but then they're seeing, someone else wrote about this and they're imagining this, and just to see that the beautiful things that stories can do, that's amazing.
Oh, I love it.
But that's just my answer.
It's such a good answer. I mean, and it so marks our day. I mean, you're exactly right. Parenting has been oddly, now that I think about it, that piece. I mean, today we'll have, I've had a budget meeting, and then I had a dual enrollment meeting, and then we'll have we have a tour of the Skirvin later today, and then I have to speak to the coaches, and then we will talk about the gala. But the one thing that will remain is at 7:00 sharp, both boys will be in their bed waiting on Harry Potter Book 3, Chapter 2. And it's the third time we've read it, which is another orphan story.
Great story.
But I think, anyway, that's a good word. I hadn't thought about it that way. It's been very rooting for the family. But books is books. So I've always thought of books as an extension of friends, perhaps the most interesting friends that I have, I've always found in books. I mean, they're absolutely the most essential and beautiful human artifact ever, because a part of someone's very person resides in the pages, as you've beautifully illustrated with that story about the robot. I'm going to go read the robot book now. And so you are not limited to those humans who happen to live in the 21st century with you as your exclusive friend group. And I have found that my soul has expanded my lifelong to the degree that I am involved in the writings of others, men and women of whom the world was never worthy, who left something behind that I can read, or we can read. And then you can share that and bring other people in. And weirdly enough, which is the essence of culture, which is the only thing that has ever been for sale, even at the bookstore. The books are part of a transaction, but the only thing that's ever been for sale is an expansive culture, right? Windleberry on the front of Commonplace Books. We chose that very carefully. We read so that we know we're not alone. So that's kind of been what's carried me. And you could guess, based on what I just said, my favorite, like I love biography because of how it places you in someone else's story and gives you a far greater sense of self, which the far greater sense of self is always a road of humility. That's a big, so anyway, there you go. There's some love of books. What long before 2016 ever put up a storefront.
Yeah.
I want to go read now.
Yeah.
I want to go expand my culture. I want to go be transported through time with myself and my kiddos and do that together. What are you reading right now? What are you reading right now? Besides the robot and the chicken, what was the robot and the, what was
right?
it?
Bird. It was a bird.
Yes, bird.
Read that.
Yeah.
The boys and I are reading another middle grade fiction that's an advanced reader copy.
Come on now.
But personally, I have enjoyed The Tiffany Girls, which is a historical fiction novel that came out. I've read a lot more fiction, like adult level fiction, since being in this position. But it's fascinating about how the Tiffany glass was made and really fun, like cobblestone era in New York. You know, really great. Yeah.
Very cool. What are you reading right now?
3 books come to mind. David Sedaris's.
Couldn't give me one. Couldn't give one.
It depends on the day.
I know, or the hour. I know.
If it's a heavy day,
okay.
David Sedaris's Christmas Stories.
Okay.
Not everyone in your audience is going to like that book.
Just teeing that one up.
Just
giving a disclaimer, qualifier.
It will have you busting a gut. I don't know that it's entirely appropriate, but it's funny.
I'm glad you chose to say it on this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, we're talking about authenticity. Get it out. I'm good. Ain't gonna bother me.
Those who've listened to what was among the original podcasts in this nation, This American Life, I'm Ira Glass.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. David Sedaris is a regular guest. So.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
The book on eschatology by the last Pope, Ratzinger, Benedict XVI. Reading that.
Okay.
3rd book, Rembrandt is in the Wind. So it's about artists. That's what I have. That's what I'm reading.
Customer at Commonplace Books heard that my husband and my son were going to Italy, and he recommended that they read that book.
That is a new thing I have learned and started to do because I love traveling, but to then try to find something to read that complements, supplements, accentuates my experience there.
Yeah.
While going to do a said trip is one of my favorite things to do now. And I've just learned that in the last few years. I've just started that concept in the last few years. Love that idea.
Yeah.
Love that idea.
Example, an entire chapter on The David by Michelangelo. If you're going to Florence, you have to go to the Academia.
When in Florence, not Rome. When in Florence. Okay, let's talk about paradox. Let's talk about paradox for a moment. There's a wonderful quote on your website. This is what you get when you put stuff on your website, right? It's like open for public consumption, and people who are going to sit down with you and record it can take it from you. It is our mission to build a flourishing environment for the life of the mind. Our shop is a welcoming respite that bustles with excitement and unhurried wonder. Welcoming respite and bustles, I don't think often go together. Excitement and unhurried wonder, I don't know often go together. Talk to me Talk to me about how your faith contributes to embracing the complexity or the paradox of being entrepreneurs, right? Which is a go-go, which is a start, which is the force of will against the unknown, to be starters and entrepreneurs who espouse unhurried wonder in the very business that you guys have and share with the community.
Yeah. I just think that the idea of respite can mean different things. It reminds me at the time there was a conference or something going on at a church in Oklahoma City, and we ended up with a porch full of people afterwards. And they were all pastors or priests. And after like uproarious laughter and, it was not peaceful. It was not, it was a crazy time. But one of them who, had just been moved to a new church, and he at the end of it said, "This was true rest for me." And what he meant was, I was just with like-minded individuals who are in this calling alongside of me, but we're not in community, like we're not in his neighborhood.
Yep.
But like I was just able to be myself. I wasn't needed for anything. I wasn't, And so I think that the whole idea of unhurried wonder and bustle of, that can go hand in hand. I mean, unhurried wonder doesn't mean you're still. It just means you're seeing things that you maybe haven't seen before, or seeing them a different way, or experiencing, a different type of friendship than is I've known you for a very long time. It's when the attorney comes in to pick up her special order, and I say, "Tell me about this book. How'd you know about this book?" And she goes on to, this is about a woman in history that nobody knows about, that you should totally know about. And she goes on, and I know that there's someone in the corner getting, looking at books because she's about to teach a class, and I'm going, you've got to talk to each other. I mean, that's unhurried wonder, and nobody expected for it to happen when she came in to pick up her special order. But now we all know about this new person in history, and this, it is exciting. It's exciting when it happens.
That's great.
I know.
That's great. I forgot about that porch dwell. That's fun. That's a good night. That's a great example.
I was like 2 a.m. and I was tired. But when he said that, it made everything completely worth it.
My example of this over the years is out of Luke. There's this, so unhurried wonder was this funny thing that I said to a pre-K teacher once to give an example of the word scole, which is the Latin root for school, which means rest. It's a restful entry into something. So the root of school is rest.
For real? I've been around you all these years, and I that's probably on me. I promise you've said that in front of me, and I've never picked it up. But really, the Latin
scole. And so for us to, and my picture is out of Luke. Our Lord enters the synagogue where what does the verse say? Hold on, I'm on the spot now.
You took us here.
Yeah.
that was so good. I love that.
You're not welcome in your hometown. So he reads the prophecy of Isaiah. He shuts the book. The scripture has now been fulfilled in your hearing. And they drag him to a cliff to throw him off. And he walks amidst the clamor and re-enters Galilee immediately to start healing. So it's always been that image in Luke has always been my picture of when the chaos and the clamor and the anxiety and the fear of the entire world and its shame, right? These are the things we daily have to stand upright amidst. When all of the clamor and all the anxiety of the world, our Lord does not enter into disputatio with them. He does not tell them off. He walks quietly, miraculously amidst the crowd. They continue their clamor, and he just returns to healing people. That's always been the picture, that no matter what stacks of work may pile up around you, no matter what parenting is yet still to come. I mean, we still have a 7-year-old. We got a lot of parenting ahead of us. Whatever the list is that creates the anxiety, the list, unhurried wonder, is not environmentally dictated.
Come on.
It's not circumstantially dictated. It's a posture of the soul that's predisposed to view every single moment as gift and wonder. Otherwise, you will live under the prescriptive anxiety that is the only thing that the world could ever give. So there's bustle in the bookstore. We're after a predisposition of our heart in everything. Because none of that stuff's going to go away. So you might as well be joyful. Anyway, hopefully that's a understandable framework. But
I could do this with you two all day. We just need to record. I know you guys have other things to do and all the lists and things. We should just hit record and do this more. Okay.
do it.
So I want to let's flip the question. How has your entrepreneurial journey, so starting the business, because again, you're a father, you have lots of different roles, but you also have a business. You've now taken over as general manager or formal head of operations, or I don't know what the title. What is the title?
Whatever you want it to be.
supreme ruler of the
There
universe.
it is, chief admiral in charge of everything. Okay, great. How has that journey for each of you at the business shaped your faith? How has it actually challenged, shaped, reinforced, influenced your faith, specifically the business side of what you've done through Commonplace?
Do you want to take that?
Happy to.
I think that, I mean, that's a little, it might be a tiny bit of an unfair question because,
Yes,
or the
she called me
answer-
out. She called me out for an unfair question. I love it.
Well,
There's
I
a
should
buzzer.
say the answer maybe is unfair because this is certainly, a side gig. I mean, we are not trying to make our living with this.
Yeah.
Which is why I think one of the reasons why we can have so much fun with it because we, Commonplace is not buying our groceries. So that's why I said that, that's a little bit like, so we, God will provide or God will open the door to it closing or, but it really is just a way that we get to connect with the community. And I mean, if something huge explodes from it, that will be fun. But, to have
You've
people.
had some offshoots.
Right. But
You've had some
again,
opportunities.
I don't know.
I appreciate
It's shaped things maybe differently than another entrepreneur would say.
But I think that's a part of the journey is that everyone's will be shaped different because every business is going to play a different role in founders, starters, GMs' lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I'd encourage you not to minimize whatever role it might
Yeah.
play. And I know you're not, but just on the where it fits into like
Right.
because I know it's deeply important to you, even if it's not that playing that role.
Yeah, there have been really surprising things to me. You know, like I just thought I was going to come in and kind of make sure that it keeps running. But certain aspects of the job have surprised me as far as like if you were to say, what's been your favorite part? You know, I think actually I have a couple of favorite parts, and it's been meeting with and talking to our staff, from interviewing to working with and hearing from them and making sure that they feel ownership in Commonplace. That's been really, really important to me, and I didn't realize that it would be. And then seeing them show that, you know, with wanting to get inventory just right, or, you know, we've got Jack, who, you know, is always trying to take us to the next level technically. And
is he really?
You know, he wants
Right.
barcodes on everything so that everything can be scanned so we look very professional. And, you know.
He's my godson. I'm very proud.
You know, and then we've got Natalie, who, you know, does our social media and makes all the graphics. And, you know, I just told her we could not do this without you. And she was saying, you guys. And I said, you've got to start saying we. This is our store. This is your store. And she goes, no, I do feel that. I do feel ownership. And I just didn't realize how much I really wanted that for them, you know, for them to be excited to help a customer and to, you know, it's been fun. And then just to share new books and authors with people who've never met them before, you know, and I'm talking about Alan Noble's new book. You know, it's so exciting to know that someone else has that and has it not only for them, but in their back pocket, maybe for somebody else. And these are exciting things.
I love it. I think I have two answers.
Which one do you like better?
That harmonize.
Which one do you like better?
I think I most identify with the first, but I keep thinking about the second.
Well, then we're going to get both of them.
So let's get both.
We're going to get both.
Out,
and then Sarah will pick which one is better.
Then you vote.
Yeah.
Tiebreaker. Let's talk about, so wiring, my wiring. I love the front end of a thing more than anything else in the world. I just love what my leadership, business buddies call entrepreneurial chaos. I love everything about it. So the launching of any given thing is my favorite day. I love the energy that comes from it. I like creating a ton of inertia. I like lift off. It's the best part. Once you're in flight, I get real distracted. And I start looking around.
Do you get bored or do you just get distracted? Do you just want to go find the next plane to get off the ground?
I think it's to get the next plane off the ground. The fact that I've put in 16 years of the academy is shocking to a lot of people, given this wiring. But to root it, and who cares? Other people's wiring is different. And God's best and brightest design helps them flourish. But what I think that I love, and the reason for that love, is anything that moves my life as close to the creative aspect of a thing. In theology, we use creation ex nihilo as a separate category for theology proper. God alone can create something out of nothing. Right? We inherit the raw materials as the creatures, but we are closest to God's creative imaging when you're trying to build something out of nothing. And I love the energy associated with that. So whether it's the bookstore or the school or replanting 2 churches now, or whatever the thing is, those are the moments that are most precious to me. So that is a clear exhale of doctrine living out in my life that comports only too well with wiring. Like, I get it. Okay. The other piece, though, and this is a completely different my whole category, my whole world is Christian. I am a professional paid Christian. I'm paid to be a Christian as a priest. I get a check to keep on Christianing. For years I was in retail, and so I was not a part of the Christian bubble in my lived professional vocational life, right? I brought Starbucks to Oklahoma City and Tulsa and Little Rock, and it was fun back in the day. Retail. And so I just had a rich connection to people outside of the Christian veil. And there's some piece of Commonplace that was important to me for that reason. That there was a front porch on our life, and that front porch existed somewhere out in the world, and it wasn't merely a front porch to my church or to my Christian school or whatever. And that's a critical piece of being a full Christian. So I don't know that, you know what I mean? Like, we know people who don't go to St. John's Episcopal Church. This is a big day. Lots of them. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you marinating on there?
Well, yeah, we are Christians, and the partners in Commonplace. I do want to make sure that we say we're just here today, but there are a couple of other owning couples of Commonplace Books, people who put in lots of time as well. But what I was going to say is we are all Christian owners of a bookstore. We don't own a Christian bookstore. Yeah. Which is really fun.
What is the importance of that delineation for you right there? Like there was an emphasis on that. Like, what was the heart to drive that home?
I mean, I just think because it's such an open door to everyone. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people who love it that we have a theologian section. Yep. And, who come in to buy Every Moment Holy to give as a gift. Uh-huh. But then, there are a lot more people who would never need to come into the store if it was just a Christian bookstore. Yeah. So it's fun to have everything.
Here's yet another way maybe to say it. Let me get this right. There was a book once written called The Hermeneutics of Love by Alan Jacobs. I cited it in a master's thesis.
We're going to need a long, show notes on this episode. It's going to have, citation of citation. It's going to be the most thorough show notes ever with words that I'm going to have to look up, Nate. Okay, keep going.
But
I love it.
I'm sorry.
I love it. No, I love it.
Such a dork.
This is why I love recitations. It's why I love end-of-year parent conferences, all the things. I love it.
Yes. All the
Sorry, hermeneutics.
No,
I cut you off and derailed the train.
No, you're so fun. Okay. That in the same way that any human artifact, by virtue of being a human artifact, is due love, that the hermeneutics of love, therefore, when applied, for example, to books, is that every book is accorded its own love. And there may be books that should be accorded greater love and fidelity because of their greater witness to something true, good, or beautiful. There may be books that obscure certain aspects of what is true and good and beautiful, but that are nevertheless witness to human experience, and therefore are still accorded love because they are image bearers to the degree that they are connected to a human. And so it would, because that is true, and because that is the nature of love, it is unloving to offer books that are exclusively and explicitly Christian. You have not actually fulfilled the first and second commandments in doing so. And therefore, we had to do an Every Man's Bookstore to live the fullest of love itself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm making sure.
I
I didn't
like
get
that.
overly
Yeah.
theologically
I like
ooey.
that.
Okay.
I appreciate both of your willingness to really sit on that point for a minute, though, because I think it's really, really, really important
Yeah.
for those of us who profess to follow Jesus, right? Who proclaim to be Christ followers. I think it is really, especially those of us in the marketplace. I think the first point that was really important is that you talked about accepting the reality that we are on the front lines, and that's a way we live out our faith is through our business, right? Like that's just, and we actually will be able to touch people that churches and full-time pastors will actually never be able to potentially even have those interactions because of where we are in the world. So I think that's the first thing to accept. And the second one is the power of recognizing that while my first business was named after an Old Testament prophet, you don't have to. But my point is, like, I honestly, then everyone always assumes that's going to be the approach. And I'm like, no. That was what I felt obedient or called to do. And so obedience follows, not that's a prescriptive way that you have to be like, this is going to be a Christian company. But no. We even say we're going to integrate our work into our faith. Like the work is something, it is integrated with it, but is separate, but it is coming into and a part of your faith, and everyone, it should be approachable to everyone.
Yeah. You have flipped that phrase from what we normally hear. Yeah.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Maybe I need to hear that.
She did it. Did you say the way she even like you changed posture and then asked the question? That was really good.
Who's interviewing here?
I know the tables. How the turntables have turned. That was John Ortberg who challenged me with that in his episode. And yeah, we had always said that we're here to, help Oklahoma City-based leaders who want to integrate their faith into their work. Yeah. And John's very gentle but intentional challenge to me was, and he talked about a leader from Detroit, a mentor in his life, and I cannot remember the gentleman's name. Go listen to the episode. Okay. Listeners and viewers, go find the episode. He references it. But who talked about when you're integrating, when you're combining two things together, the minor note is integrated into the major note. And so the minor note, the thing that is the higher power, so to speak, is the one that is being integrated into. And he said, so you should think about maybe flipping your language, because your faith should be the major note that is permeating your marriage, your parenting, your work, your businesses, all elements. And it should be the piece that is the higher major note that work then gets to go be a part of. And so that was where the flip came from. And genuinely, I just started trying it on. I just started saying it to see, like, what is that? Because that was our heart. While we didn't have the language, the heart was always, we don't want to be and this might rub people, but I'm good with it. We don't want to be a Christian business.
Right.
We're a business.
Right.
Now, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. A lot of people who work here, but we also, we rumble those questions. Like, well, will we hire someone who's not? But here's our value. So those are the pieces that we're saying we want people to be able to be, we want to be approachable so that we can live it out. And then when people experience us, they can ask why. Why is this different? Why is this dynamic that way? How come you act this way? How come you behave this way? And then through those interactions, it would create the moments of faith connection. So yeah, that was a switch.
Nice. I like it.
It is an ongoing switch. Yeah.
I know. I'm still
me too.
Figuring it out.
And I think I think that's how the journey's supposed to be, even in this, is that we're supposed to be able to, John Mark recently said this, one of my partners at one of our businesses, who's also a pastor in town, he talked about...
John Mark Hart?
John Mark Lawrence.
Oh.
Oh, you would the two of you would. Now I have an objective out of this episode to connect you and John Mark Lawrence, and then I just want to sit in a corner. I might have a nice glass of bourbon, and I'm really going to enjoy myself as that goes on. But he talked about there's a Latin phrase. I tried to say this in a meeting. He got frustrated that I couldn't articulate it, so he went and wrote it in Latin. What I was trying to say, but there's some phrase about faith, always deconstructed faith, always deconstructing, or something along those lines, essentially of we should always be challenging what we believe, because God, if it's true, it's big enough and robust enough and true enough that it will survive any challenging we make of it. Thus, we can keep breaking down less of us, more of him, to end up in a spot of genuine, deep faith. Yeah. So again, he's going to listen to this episode and he's going to be like, that is not what I said, Clay. God, would you listen to me? So John Mark, if you could find anywhere we posted this and write some comments to make it articulate what you meant with that. Oh, that was good. Fun run there. Thank you to both of you for sharing that stuff. Okay, now, yeah, okay, I looked at the clock. Now I got to see where I am.
Okay.
You're, besides Kirsten, who came on as a guest, but I was hosting guest host dynamic. You're the first couple to come on to the pod as guests. So I want to ask about the working dynamic as a couple at the shop. And you even talked about other couples being a part of the ownership dynamic. But for the two of you, tell me one benefit of living this journey together. So you're like working on this specific project as a couple, and then one challenge. One benefit that maybe you didn't see ahead of time, and one challenge.
Well, I mean, we've been trying to figure out how to work together for over 20 years.
Oh, that's been like a thing you guys have talked about for a long time.
Isn't that marriage?
Oh, well, yeah, touche. Okay, yeah. I mean, yes, you're spot on. Yes.
And to be fair, Nathan actually has never rang someone up at Commonplace. Like, it doesn't work. You did help with inventory last year, which was amazing.
But no barcodes. All right, Dodson. All right, Jack. No barcodes.
You gotta fix this. This is brutal.
I think that was the moment Jack decided we need a better system. But so day to day, we don't work together. But I would say that a benefit of both being a part of this and is, we both have understanding for it. I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice that a marriage partner has to make for the other's career or, whatever. I mean, whether it's as big as being the headmaster of a school that has 3 campuses, et cetera, or, as big as like having to be full-time 2 weekends at a pop-up in Midtown for selling books. I mean, you have to give and, you have to give and understand in those moments. So that's a definite benefit. We both want this to succeed. We both have the same vision for it. But, we also a little bit protect our marriage in that, I mentioned that there's other owning couples. Nathan's brother kind of manages the finances of Commonplace. And so when I send them things like, I just talked to this author about getting an event set up, I send it to both of them. But then if I have a moment in the store where I need someone above me, I call Joe. And
that's really practical. That's a...
Yeah. So I'm not... So that we can just be married and he's not my boss. I don't think we would like that very much.
I don't think that we would like that very much.
like a part of why I'm asking is that I don't know that Kirsten and I could ever function that way. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah. But I do love getting to be a part. I do love it that both our names are entangled in this venture. It's fun. It's
Oh, it's so fun.
And I got to host Nathan for his book release event.
Yeah.
Which was so much fun.
So
I got to stand up and
Thank you.
welcome everyone. And it was really fun.
Those are special moments. Yeah.
What else? I was going to add too, I think that our lifelong, the whole marriage included, the gifts are perfectly complementary. And the giftedness, the wiring, your thoroughness and tenacity is a perfect complement to my restless nature.
I was like, what words is he about to use?
My restless nature.
Yeah.
But so in every, this is not, generalizations are never as true as one would want them to be. But I'm typically on the front end of the venture, the networking, the needed capital, etc. And that has been true of our Midtown store. It's been true of the partnership she did in New York. It's true of what might be a new Yukon bookstore coming online. I do all of the front end tours, interviews. I don't know. I worked with the licensing agreements and stuff. And then once the thing is launched, I'm immediately looking for next opportunity, almost to the day. To stay out in front, to stay out in front.
What he means is, then all the work is left to me.
So
I'm just teasing.
there's this.
You enjoyed that so much. That was the best part. Was how you enjoyed it.
I'm
Now,
just teasing.
no, it's so good. It's so good.
Because it's accurate.
It is accurate. But to all of the entrepreneurs listening, I am someone who actually does understand how much work is on the front end of a thing that is often given funny discount because management is so hard.
Yeah.
Thoroughness and tenacity are the hard pieces of stabilizing and getting it into management position where it can now flourish in permanence.
Yeah.
And sustain.
For generations, like a book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no cultural impact if you only have a front end.
Come on.
But the front end is very, very hard. And there's both an art and a science to getting it exactly right. That's hard to map. And so that's, and then all the hardest work comes second. I mean, that is unquestioned.
But the hard to map is why he does that and not me.
But
because
the balancing
I'm
piece.
like,
the balancing.
The balancing.
So it's actually quite complementary.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of toe stepping because we couldn't be made more differently. And it's just been, I don't know, it's actually been quite sweet and fun. But
and if you were copying and pasting ISBNs into reorder forms, you would be out.
I can't do it.
You would be totally done.
I can't do it. Let's go hire 5 people today
Now.
to do that
Now.
thing. I'm just going to go breathe. Go take a walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds just as the awareness that you're carrying about how to function even in the business setting is an overflow of the awareness gained from the work of decades of marriage and relationship. And I mean, that's what I'm hearing. I'm not saying that is what it is, but that's what I'm hearing.
That's right.
Is it really is just that same balancing act applied in a different setting. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Almost 22 years into marriage, we are finally figuring it out.
Yeah. That's right.
If you do, could you keep telling me more?
Yeah, that's
Well, I'm just saying, like, the protective pieces get put in place as we learn them.
That's good. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. This is fun. Again, I have to end the episode now because of, stewardship and our listeners' time. We want to be, but this is fun for me. And so thank you. Thank you both for
good job, sweetie.
Thanks for so great. Love you too. Thank you for letting us behind the scenes and even just sharing the interpersonal dynamic and the relationship dynamic, how it informs this, stories, all of the above. Quite a gift. Do you have any? I'm hesitant to ask you this. Sarah, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our listeners and our viewers today?
Oh, man. I don't know.
You don't have to. There's no pressure on it. I just was offering it.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Start stuff. It's fun.
Finish stuff. It's also fun.
There it is. Start stuff. Finish. That was it. As I say, that's your answer, not hers. That is not her answer of what's fun. That's the work. That's where work goes. Oh, that was good. Start stuff. It's fun. Finish stuff. It's fun. There's our finish. Thank you. Thank you to you both. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing your story. Yeah, you as well, my friend. You as well. To all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us today. And until next week, choose life. Mm-hmm. Thank you for tuning in. To find out more about how Restoration Group can serve you or your business, click the link in the show notes below or go to restorationgroup.co.